guys, it's Nina. Today we're doing this. What are we doing again? So my roommate and I are attempting to watch all 107, I think, of the DCOMs. 108 of the DCOMs. And the other day we started watching Cowbelles. And while watching Cowbelles, I was like, this movie is very similar to Material Girls with Hilary and Haylie Duff. And so I decided to make a video comparing the two movies. When I was rewatching Material Girls, I was like, oh, I was completely wrong. This is not even the same at all. Obviously, they have a lot of similarities, but there are huge differences as well. So I'm just going to go over those, the similarities, the differences, and then I'm going to decide which one I think is the better movie. I realized that Cowbelles was intended for a younger audience, and I'm not really the target demographic, but I'm trying to be as objective as possible in terms of the movie quality. But before we get into the comparison, I'm going to go over each movie individually and tell you a little bit of a summary. So first up, Cowbelles. So Cowbelles is a movie about two spoiled sisters that are played by Aly and AJ, who get sent to work at their father's company because they caused a fire in their house. And so he wanted to give them responsibility so that they can learn to grow up a little bit. So they start work in their father's dairy factory where they're making milk and yogurt and things like that. For whatever reason, they decide to wear high heels in a factory environment, and obviously they have kerfuffles. One of them drops their phone in the yogurt tub. Of course, throughout the movie, they're gaining some perspective and they're getting better at the work, especially the character of Taylor, played by Aly. Courtney is still a little young, and she's currently planning a big party with her friends, and she's taking a lot of money from her dad to create this party. And when they find out that their dad's company has gone bankrupt because apparently their dad has taken all the money out of the account, they decide to try to save the day. Now, of course, all of the employees think that their dad ran off with their money and that they're not going to get their paychecks this week, so they decide not to continue working. Now, Taylor really wants to help them out and wants to believe in her father, whereas Courtney is very selfish and she decides to focus on her party and doesn't think that it's her responsibility to help them out. Whereas Taylor thinks that her dad couldn't have possibly done it, there must be another explanation, but for now she needs to get that money to the employees so that they don't leave and so that the company doesn't go under. So Taylor takes money from Courtney's party to pay the company's salaries and saves the day in that way. And eventually they discover that one of the dad's co-workers was the one who actually took the money and framed their father. And at the end, the whole community comes together to try to fix a problem that Courtney caused while putting in the wrong expiration date on the tubs of yogurt. Along the way, both Courtney and Taylor find some love interests. So Taylor meets Tyler Lockwood from the Vampire Diaries, and he plays this hunky farmer dude. He thinks that she's entirely selfish and snobby. Throughout the movie, they get closer, of course. Taylor actually discovers a cow that is pregnant, and she, in the end, helps Tyler and Tyler's dad give birth. Not give birth. Helps the cow give birth by shooing away the man cow that might have been distracting the woman cow. Yeah. Courtney, on the other hand, is in a relationship or has a love interest with this guy who has a really, really bad French accent.
Wow, so this is my first American, how you call it?
And nothing really goes on there. They just dance at the last party, I guess, and that's about it. Now, moving on to Material Girls. So Material Girls is once again about two spoiled sisters whose dad owns a company. Now, in this movie, their dad has already passed away, and they find out that the makeup products that their dad's company is making causes skin irritation, and so they go bankrupt as well. Now, Tansy believes that her dad couldn't have possibly messed up the formula, and that he probably tested it thoroughly, and something else is probably going on. Whereas Ava believes that her dad could have possibly done it, and she wants to figure out how to move forward in their lives. As the movie goes on, they decide to investigate the issue because they don't think that their father did it, and so they're going undercover to discover what actually happened with the formula and why this person on the news is lying about how they got their scars on their face. While they're undercover, they dress up as maids and they decide to say, "Walk like Lucy," and Lucy is their housekeeper maid that they used to have, who is currently taking care of them because they're like family to her. But they do this little weird walk because they think Lucy walks like that, and I just found that really funny. They have this one best friend who ditches them right at the beginning when they lose their money, and it's Larry from Don't Look Under the Bed, which is another DCOM that me and Caitlin watched. Also, the ending is kind of weird because all of a sudden they get a bunch of evidence where throughout the movie they were like, we can't find any evidence, there's no evidence, we can't prove anything. And then all of a sudden they just have all this evidence and they didn't even show us them getting it. So that was a little weird. But yeah, eventually they clear their father's name and they find out once again that someone else in the company is framing their dad. In Material Girls, both of the girls also have love interests. Tansy ends up with a chemist that works at her father's company who she originally thought was a valet parker. And Ava ends up with a lawyer that helps them save their father's company. Let's move on to the similarities. So of course both movies have two sisters that are played by real-life sisters as the main characters. Both of the movies have the sisters setting fire to their homes because they're a little ditzy. Both of the movies have someone within the company that decides to frame their father and mess up the company a little bit for their own personal gain. One of the sisters doesn't believe right away that their father is innocent, but eventually decide to help fix problems that have been caused. Both movies have a group of friends that are uncaring and mean once one of the girls loses money. So in Cowbelles, when Courtney doesn't have any money for her party anymore, the friends that were throwing the party with her just sort of ditch her. Whereas in Material Girls, when Ava was supposed to have her engagement party, they show up, but they have no money, and the people at the party won't let them in, and even her fiancé calls off the wedding, which is just a little ridiculous. And yeah, they call Larry up, and Larry's like, I'm not here.
Again, it's us. We're outside, and this guy isn't letting us in.
Oh, actually, I decided not to go to the party because my throat is a little tender.
Turn around. I'm looking at you on the patio.
That's not me.
Both movies have a love interest that at first believes the girl is spoilt and then grows to learn all sides of her character. So in Cowbelles, that is Tyler Lockwood.
Never would have predicted that in a million years.
Maybe that's why you should get to know a person before you go making a bunch of judgments.
Sort of the way you did with me.
Sort of how we both did.
And in Material Girls, that's the lawyer.
You're different than I thought you were, Ava Michalka.
Both these boys eventually admit how quickly they were to judge the other person. Another thing these movies have in common is the two sisters have very specific skills that they're good at. For example, in Cowbelles, Taylor is really good at math, and Courtney is really good at computers, apparently. She even says at the beginning when she's struggling with a blender, I'm so good at computer things, but I don't know how to work a blender. And in Material Girls, Tansy is really good at chemistry, and she ends up working in the chem lab at the end of the movie with her beau. And apparently Ava is really good at just being confident and commanding a room. Alright, moving on to the differences. In Cowbelles, the entire staff comes together eventually to save the company as one big family unit. They all eventually believe in her dad, they believe in the company, and they work together, and it's kind of a heartwarming moment. In Material Girls, they have no help from the company at all. It's a big room of execs in their suits and ties, and they have nothing on their mind other than money and quick money. And so they really want to just sell the company and be done with it. They don't care to clear anyone's name, and they don't care what happens to the girls. Their father is actually already deceased, which adds a little bit to the storyline because Tansy is really missing him and really wants to believe in her father, and she has other emotions attached to that. In Cowbelles, the way that they fix the problem really is that they throw Courtney's birthday money into the pot to pay their salaries, and then Taylor also sells her car to pay for something else, but basically they're just throwing money and saving the day like that. Whereas in Material Girls, the two sisters decide to investigate. They become investigators, and they go undercover looking for clues to clear their father's name. So they're actually doing something physical about it. They're not just somehow getting money and throwing it at the problem. The whole choice that they had was to either sell the company and get less money than they were going to be getting before, or to clear their father's name. Now, of course, Material Girls is for older audiences, for sure. They have a lot of raunchy jokes. For example, when Tansy goes undercover to get the name of the person who was on the news, she wears this provocative outfit to try to entice the front desk guy to let her in, and she ends up in jail, and everybody thinks that she was a prostitute and stuff. And there were other jokes in bits like that you would definitely not see in a DCOM. In Material Girls also, nobody in the company thought that the dad could be innocent, Whereas in Cowbelles, there were at least a few employees that believed in him and that believed that he couldn't possibly have done this, so they helped the girls out. And of course, the main difference is in Cowbelles, Courtney and Taylor actually work at the company and they learn the ropes. In Material Girls, the two sisters don't go to work at the company, they don't learn the ropes, and they don't learn what it is to be a worker. In conclusion, I think that Material Girls is a better movie overall. Every scene that they have in that movie matters. In Cowbelles, there are a few throwaway scenes that we really didn't need, especially at the end. Caitlin and I were watching it, and we thought it concluded, but then there was like a bunch of scenes at the end that were unnecessary, and we were like, I thought the movie was over. Like, what's this for? In Material Girls, there was more in-depth and dynamic scenes, and the plot overall seemed deeper. For example, the fact that their father was dead really put more perspective on why they really needed to clear his name. Also, their housekeeper was taking care of them as if they were her own family, and you realize that she really does consider them her daughters.
Come here, young lady. Where do you think you're going? Who do you think you are? Calling me and leaving a message. Oh, Nancy, well, Tansy's in jail, but don't worry. Don't worry. You almost gave me a heart attack.
I'm sorry. I didn't know you were going to be so worried.
What? Are you crazy? Who am I if not your mother?
Look, you're the one always telling us that we act spoiled all the time and that we don't appreciate you.
That's what mamas do.
Especially because now they have no mother and they have no father, and they really have been living with her. And they find out that that Lucy has 2 daughters of her own in Latin America. And then by the end, they eventually bring those girls over from Latin America to live with her mom. And that was just like a great side story that I thought just really added to making a great film. And I realized that Cowbelles is a Disney Channel original movie, and it probably wasn't going to go into deeper meaning. It was just to entertain children. But it had a really great storyline and really great potential in it as well. I thought that the side story about the cow and the cow giving birth was really funny and really nice. And of course, the nostalgia of seeing Aly and AJ in a movie and remembering watching Disney Channel original movies just made that movie even better. And if I didn't mention, I chose Material Girls. If you think I'm wrong about that decision, if you think that maybe Cowbelles was better, let me know down below. If you think I missed any similarities or differences, please let me know. Or if there are any aspects of either movie that you thought should have been mentioned, let me know as well. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and consider subscribing. If you have any suggestions of movies that are very similar that I could compare, let me know down below as well, because I need them. I hope I got it this time. And so I decided to make a movie. Oh, that would be cool.